Don't be alarmed, it's just Skirn, Breaker of Men, getting her stomp on. And there's going to be plenty more of that in this episode of All Hail the King. What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and welcome to an all-new episode of All Hail the King. This is going to be episode 22, and it does feature Skirn, Breaker of Men. This Chapter 6 reward alternate costume for She-Hulk is absolutely incredible. I really love using her in all sorts of different team-ups, and in this video I'll be showing you 3 of my favorites. One last thing though before we begin, make sure you check out the From the Helicarrier podcast. This is where you can find a ton of interesting information, fan interaction, and discussion, not to mention my corresponding podcast segment which goes along with this video. The links are provided in the description below. Now our first team up is going to be with Anti-Venom, and we were fortunate enough to get the first attack with Skirn, Breaker of Men. But due to her burst of speed, we're actually going to get 2 attacks. This is very bad news for someone on the opposing team. In this case, I'm thinking that someone is Psylocke. After casting our level 1, it's time to use a Stomp, and I guess Psylocke isn't going out without a fight, because she does cast Psybolts. To be honest though, this just makes She-Hulk angry, and Psylocke won't like it when she gets angry. Well, that was easy. 1 down and 2 to go. With my agent, I'm going to use our quick action Neuro Purge. Then I'm going to use the Flashy Gun. The Flashy Gun is a weapon from Chapter 6, Mission 6, and it can place Opportunist on the enemies. It does say 30% chance, but it ends up being 0 because of the dodge. That's basically a waste of a turn, and I much rather use the Ex-Oblivion. Now with Anti-Venom, I'm going to use his level 2, I Am the Cure. This has Opportunist, Webbed, a chance to depower, and a chance to remove buffs. It's pretty incredible, but Iron Fist once again did dodge. This is going to narrow down our attack with Skirn, Breaker of Men, to their agent. In truth, we should have just stomped him, but I did use a Hammering Blow instead. It does 50,000 damage. This also leaves him for our agent, who gets to use the Serpentine Staff. This weapon exploits opportunity and should do quite a bit of damage. A 67,000 non-crit. That's not a bad payoff, but I really wish it would have critically hit. Now with Anti-Venom's turn, I actually want to do minimal damage to Iron Fist. This is so I can finish him off with Skirn. A simple bloodletting should do, and then with Skirn we get to use Burst of Speed, followed by Motion Granite, and then I'm pretty sure everyone knows exactly what's coming next. Our only mistake was we should have done a level 1, that way we could have guaranteed our critical hit. It also causes 25% more damage. The only thing I will say is sometimes it knocks out the opponent, and then you don't get to stomp them. Now for the second match, we're facing an annoying Invisible Woman and Falcon team. But you know what, against this team, they really aren't that annoying at all, as you're about to see. I do sort of waste my agent's first turn, but we are going to take out that Invisible Woman very soon. The fact that they're using the Mystic on this team is even more upsetting to me. For that I'm going to unleash Skirn's fury upon them, but who am I kidding, I would have done that anyways. After using I Am the Cure, hopefully we got some debuffs on that Invisible Woman. Next, the enemy Falcon is going to use Dive Bomber on Anti-Venom. I'm completely fine with that as long as we get to use She-Hulk's Burst of Speed. Of course followed by a Hammering Blow, and then Stomp. The fact that Invisible Woman and Falcon are both infiltrators definitely makes this even easier. Now that I mentioned that, why not use Motion Granite instead? After following up with a Punch, we can now use our level 6 Stomp. This gives us a 93,000 damage knockout blow. The enemy agent apparently has the Savage Spear, which I do plan on making a video about very soon. That hit right there, however, was not too overly impressive. Anyways, now that Invisible Woman's gone, we can finally really set up those big hits. We'll start by using a Neuro Purge, then I'm going to use the Flashy Gun. After that, we'll have to check the opponents and see just how many debuffs we get. Well, it looked like Falcon was already pretty loaded up, but their agent could use a few more. This time the Flashy Gun does manage to hit both enemies. Now Anti-Venom can use his Crusade on Falcon. This is a pretty high damage hit, but it is hard to one-shot Falcon. Still, we score an impressive 46,000 damage. Skirn, the Breaker of Men, will have no problem finishing him off, and she'll gain a follow-up attack. This could come in handy later when we're trying to take out the enemy agent. Alright, so she does use the Light Fantastic, and that is going to be quite annoying. We now have to take care of Mirror Reality before we can finish her off. Then, because our team is now disoriented, I'm going to have to use the Light Fantastic myself. Then Anti-Venom's amazing setup move, I Am the Cure, should be off of cooldown, so that's what we're going to use on his turn. This ability is going to break Mirror Reality, but unfortunately it is dodged, so there won't be any debuffs because of it. I guess after using Burst of Speed, we'll go with our level 1, and then try to set up that Stomp anyway. So here goes a Hammering Blow, and then our follow-up Punch, to my surprise does incredible damage and ends the fight. By the way, I know it's odd that she does a Punch as a follow-up rather than her Hammering Blow. Punch happens to be the regular ability of the normal She-Hulk. But anyways, moving on to our next match, we're using Hank Pym as a team-up. I usually always start out with an Army of Ants, and that's going to apply Winded, Neutralized, and Off Balance to all the enemies. In case you were wondering, Winded is applied because of his augmented ISO 8. Now with my agent, I'm using the Neurotrope, and now I've replaced the flashy gun with the Ex-Oblivion. The Ex-Oblivion is incredible as far as opportunist debuffs, and provides a huge benefit for anyone with an exploit opportunity attack. In other words, characters like She-Hulk and Hank Pym. After another speed burst, we're going to use a Hammering Blow on the enemy agent. This setup move actually does enough to take him out before he even gets a turn. This also allows us to stomp War Machine, and we do over 300,000 damage. I guess Skirn the Breaker of Men strikes once again. I suppose with Hank Pym we'll use Growing Pains on Iron Fist, and this does a normally respectable 35k. Then I suppose since She-Hulk is next, and she did already knock out 2 out of 3, we might as well give her this finish as well. My agent will go with the Light Fantastic, and then it's time for Skirn to do her thing. The only problem is Iron Fist did use Healing Chi, so he's near full health and has no debuffs. Because of this, I'm going to use something different and go with Motion Granite. We also get a follow-up punch, and that does end the fight. So yeah, I have to say that team is exceptionally vicious, and I will definitely show more of them in the future. However, for this final team-up, I wanted to use Skirn, Breaker of Men, with Wasp. After an early burst of speed, we're going to use Hammering Blow as always, and then follow it up with a Stomp on the enemy agent. If we can manage to take him out before he even gets a turn, this will definitely make this Red Hulk and Pestilence team easier. Alright, so here goes nothing. And we do get an 83k Stomp. Then we also get an Objection. By the way, that is due to her E-ISO that you can find in the store. Since I switched over to our Bruiser costume, I am using that E-ISO instead of her one that provides Hulk Up. Now on my agent's turn, I'm going to use the Neurotrope. Of course, since it is a quick action, we can use it first. And then I can go with either the Ex-Oblivion or the Serpentine Staff. Since the staff looks like it's going to take out an enemy, let's go ahead and do that instead of using the Ex-Oblivion. Alright, so we do knock out the Red Hulk, and now it's just down to Pestilence Beast. On his turn, he unleashes a Jekyll and Hyde on Wasp, but it does miss. She-Hulk's passive procs, and now Beast should be set up for a finishing Stomp. And there we have a 205,000 damage finish to the Horseman of Pestilence. Now since we just beat the Red Hulk and Pestilence team up, I also wanted to throw in the Loki and Beast team up for free. By the way, you will notice that Loki always goes first, and this seems to be something that needs looked at. But hey, at least we got to counterattack him, and now we use Skirmish Scramble. On their agent's turn, She-Hulk objects, and so his turn is interrupted, and that's the end. Now our agent will use the Neurotrope, followed by the Ex-Oblivion. The only hero on our team that will have to worry about that disoriented is going to be Skirn, Breaker of Men. That's why I have to say this team is pretty gimmicky, and if you're going against AoE opponents, well, disoriented isn't going to work out very well. Add in the fact that Wasp is dodging everything plus counterattacking these tacticians. She's actually looking very impressive in this battle. But here is the moment of truth. We're going to use Burst of Speed, followed by a Hammering Blow on Loki. That's right, I like to live dangerously, so we're going to attack even with disoriented. At first it does pay off, but now we're going to go with the Stomp, which also hits for 155k. Next with Wasp, we're going to use our level 9 on the enemy agent. So there's a pretty big fist bump. After taking his dots, he's down to 10k HP, the same as Pestilence. Predictably on his turn he uses the Blackest Void, so there goes Disoriented once again. The satellite support, by the way, is really going to cut down this team. I do have to say on this one, maybe we pushed our luck a little too far, as we do hit our own Wasp. However, once again the enemies cannot hit her, and we get a Buzzkill counterattack. This is only going to leave the enemy agent, and we're going to roll the dice once again. Here comes a final stomp. I think it's only fitting that we end the video the way we began. Not quite as big of a hit, but it's not bad, and at least we won the match. Sadly, that will be the end of the episode, but I do hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank you all for watching, and ask you to please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, good luck, and take care.